Just have to send it. When in doubt, more throttle. Hello, I'm Aubrey O'Hare, and this is the Go See podcast, and I'm here with Jordan.
Hello.
And today we have just sat down, poured our coffee, and talked about just how far we've come, and we wanted to invite you to join along in that conversation because it's been a big trip through Mexico.
It really has. Really has. It's been split up over a few years, too.
Yeah. So Jordan has lived in Baja, California, off and on, for a few years.
Since 2020.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I got stuck in the Puerto Vallarta vortex for a couple years, had a baby, and really got to know Mexico quite intimately.
Yes. That's one way to put it.
Yeah. So we made a list of some of our favorite places and not so favorite places that were pivotal in our trip south. So what sticks out for you?
Well, let's start with you and your first pivotal stop, because we did not come all the way down Mexico together.
That is true. So I took this boat, which is a 1977 51 Formosa, from Oxnard over the border into Ensenada. And, you know, Ensenada really isn't anything to write home about, but there is a dog leg of a turn to get into that marina. And that was probably like the, it was prophetic in how difficult some of these places in Mexico can be to get into. And, you know, you just have to send it. A lot of times you just have to send it. When in doubt, more throttle.
Yeah, it's the same when I have the Scout on the back of my truck and I'm at the beach. It's a real send it through the sand. So
yeah, you really have to commit to not knowing here in Mexico how it's going to turn out. Just hope for the best.
Yeah, no stutter steps allowed.
Oh my gosh.
You might be there for a while.
Oh my gosh. I think probably one of my most memorable moments with you in Mexico, even now to this point, has been Magdalena Bay.
Yeah, and you also came down on your boat through Magdalena Bay.
I did,
correct?
Yeah. So we went back there a couple of times.
Yeah, I love Magdalena Bay.
So what is your favorite part of Mag Bay?
So Magdalena Bay is super rich in biodiversity. The biggest thing that it's known for is whale watching. It's one of the places in the world where the gray whales come to calve, and you can go there between January and March and get on a panga.
I love you call it whale watching.
Well, it is definitely whale fiddling, fondling, petting, whatever you want. So you hop in a panga and you go out to kind of like the mouth of the bay, and the gray whales, it's one of the only places in the world that I've read that where whales come to seek the interaction of humans.
They kind of present their babies, right?
They do. It's like a generational thing that they teach.
Come and see the humans. I know maybe this is an unpopular opinion or feeling, but whales kind of scare me. I've had a few whale encounters on the boat, especially on my little boat, Little Miss. I used to sail a 29 cow all over the place with my little girl and my son. And I've seen like a whale eye come out of the deep blue that's the size of, like, I don't want to exaggerate, but like a volleyball, okay, a softball. But then you're just wondering where the rest of this animal is. And it's like partially under your boat. It's like looking into your soul, and you're wondering if it's just going to like snap its tail and really ruin your day and capsize your boat. So it's, for me, it's the same thing. Like I feel the same way about elephants. You know, touching elephants in the wild or in sanctuaries it's scary, you know, like.
I call that having a healthy respect for Mother Nature.
Yeah.
So
Jordan's just over here fingering blowholes.
Yeah, that's true. There's actually footage of that somewhere.
I'll try to pop that in if I can find it. It's Mexico, so there aren't a whole lot of rules, but Magdalena Bay is definitely just a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And so don't go there and ruin it.
Yeah, it's also really known for sport fishing. It's got like a really big billfish population, and people travel from all over the world to go there to see that. You can also, I mean, there's everything there. They have these giant Pacific prawns and oysters and clams, and you can get a 5-gallon bucket for like $5.
It's also kind of the middle of the desert, too. It's like there's like tumbleweeds going by. Like it's your quintessential Mexican scene of a dusty road, a tumbleweed, and a guy in a sombrero. Like that's exactly what you're going to get when you go there. Other parts of Mexico are just pure jungle, which isn't exactly what you think of when you think of Mexico.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the Baja Peninsula is something completely different than the rest of mainland Mexico. And Magdalena Bay, getting there, you have to work for it. You basically go out of a tiny little town called San Carlos. There's one hotel there and like one main restaurant and then like some taco stands and a couple little stores, but nothing big. And you have to fly to either Loreto, which is about a 2-hour drive, or Cabo, which is like a 6-hour drive.
Or you can sail in, which will take you weeks.
Or that method. So either way, you got to work to get there, which I kind of like about it.
Yeah, it was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I do recommend it. It's just, I don't even have the words to describe what it's like to interact with those whales.
It's amazing.
It is really something.
I feel like I'm quiet for like 2 days after I go. I go every season too. It's like I'll never get tired of going to look at baby whales.
It's crazy too because if you're on the boat with other people and you haven't paid for a private panga, there's like maybe 4 other people and like your 2 friends, and you are in serious danger of capsizing on top of these whales and falling into the blowhole. Because everyone goes to the same side of the boat to pet the whale and take the pictures, and everyone's so excited because it's not something that you usually experience. And yeah, we almost capsized our boat multiple times.
Yes, I learned my lesson from that. Since that time that we shared the boat with the 2 bigger fellas, I have only gotten pangas to myself and like the group that I've been with.
Yeah, it's worth the extra, what, $100?
Yeah, it's not expensive. And the tour guides are regulated. They have to be licensed to be out there. And so find a good, reputable pangero and get out there.
Yeah, definitely. That is definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
It really is.
So, after that, I sailed Houdini down and ended up in La Cruz.
Cruz. Okay.
Yeah.
And there she sat.
There she sat. Well, not really. I sailed around the Bay of Bandera for a long time. Cyril and I broke up in Mag Bay, and then I was just I showed up in Banderas Bay, and I was kind of alone. So I wasn't really sure. It was a big pivotal moment for me. And I just kind of sailed around Banderas Bay and figured out how to solo sail this giant boat that is not meant for solo sailing. Like, nothing runs back to the cockpit.
No, nobody should be solo sailing this if they want to have fun.
Yeah. Is it possible? Absolutely, I did it. Is it fun? Not really. So, I had my moments of awe and pride in doing it by myself, especially when people came up and they're like, "Hey, where's your crew? Did you sail here? Are you by yourself?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And the look on other people's faces was the realization for me about what a big deal it was to be soloing this big boat, especially as a woman too. I don't have that upper body strength of a man to really muscle things into compliance on a boat like this. I'm hauling up a 13-foot dinghy with a 30-horse outboard on a very tired main winch.
She screams.
It actually does. We are in the market for another new winch here sometime soon.
Yes. Okay, let's back up for a second. So I'm going to give a little bit of background on La Cruz because you probably know this area, but you don't realize it. So La Cruz is in like the Riviera Nayarit area, which is actually just outside of Puerto Vallarta. So that's been on the news a lot lately. It is a beautiful little town. The main business industry in La Cruz is the marina where your boat was.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It is between Bucerias, which has become a more popular place to visit, as well. On the other side, it's flanked by Punta Mita, Sayulita, San Pancho. So these are all little popular towns.
Super big surf spots that you
really
just listed.
Yeah, big surfing, a lot of yoga and wellness done there. And so that's kind of, you fly to Puerto Vallarta to get there.
Yeah. Something that isn't talked about a lot that I just keep bringing up is the sheer amount of crocodiles in the area. That is just a negative. And they don't put all of the crocodile murders on the news because they don't want to hurt tourism. So there's a lot of things you got to dig deep for. When you see those peligroso, cuidado signs with a big crocodile on them on the beach, like, listen to them, because that's the only warning you're going to get. We've heard a lot of times that the crocodiles are our friends here, which is, I think, the thing they tell tourists.
Place they go.
They just, yeah. So there's like 200 deaths a year in Mexico due to crocodiles.
Wait, are you sure?
I am.
That sounds like a big number.
It's a big number.
Now, on both sides?
You mean, am I counting crocodile deaths and human deaths?
No, there's two sides of Mexico. We've got the Mexican Caribbean.
I don't think there's crocodiles in the Mexican Caribbean. Are there?
I imagine so. They're in Belize.
I'm not sure. I have to research that.
Actually, no, they are.
But most of them happen in Oaxaca. And most of the people that are eaten are fishermen. So it's usually they're around the nests and the estuaries and things. But there are some incidences of swimmers being eaten by crocodiles. So anyways, this is like my mortal fear. And you should write it down.
And speaking of crocodiles, the next place on our list had a crocodile farm.
Is it a farm, or is it just like a fence that doesn't hold the crocodiles in? And
it's a place to make people feel safe about where the crocodiles like to hang out in a town.
It's in the middle of the town, and there's like huge holes in the fence.
Yeah, a fence is like a suggestion of a description for that.
They don't allow small dogs, but they do allow babies.
So this next area that we're going to talk about is, we're going to kind of lump it into the region, which is Costa Alegre. It means happy coast. It is known for ecotourism, wellness, surfing. It's kind of like where jungly vibes meet surf. To get there, you have to fly to Puerto Vallarta or Manzanillo. It's either a 4 or 2 hour drive. They do have a small regional airport for private jets mostly. So, and it's beautiful.
It is really beautiful. I loved that region. I loved it so much that we got stuck there for a month.
We were only 24 hours from our point of leaving.
Yeah.
Our exit point.
Yeah. So we departed the Bay of Bandera, and then we arrived there, and we promptly just started like leaking water. Just everything was leaking. The stuffing box, the raw water pump, the windows, just everything. And so
our
morale, yes, we're hemorrhaging morale. And at this point, like, I was still just getting my confidence back because I hadn't sailed in a year. I'd been on the boat, I've been checking on the boat, I've been living on the boat, coming back with Violet, but we've been on the dock. And so this was a lot for me, and I was second guessing myself on exactly what I could put off until later and keep sailing, and then what was really dangerous. And so I dragged my feet a lot around making those decisions because there wasn't really anyone to bounce it off of,
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys are all new coming into the sailing life.
In my blissful ignorance.
Yes, exactly. So I also had to keep kind of a face of stoicism because I didn't want to freak anyone out. But, like, I was kind of freaked out at that point. So we kind of hung around and waited for parts and hired people that knew even less than me to help.
There's a whole lesson and a whole podcast on that, but we're not going to talk about it this time around.
Yeah, so the region was beautiful. We ended up staying for a while. A month was probably a little bit too long.
Yeah, we were all ready to leave, but we didn't really have a choice. We left.
We limped out of there.
Well, we limped from one spot to another for a while because we'd been
all the way down the coast.
All the way to Panama we limped? Question mark? We don't know. Do you know yet? We limped from Manzanilla. They're near each other. One letter different. To Barra de Navidad. And that was nice to switch it up for a little bit. But we were still waiting on a friend of a friend of a friend to bring a part.
Yes. And bless her sweet little heart, she went on like a 2-week bender. And once we found her out of her cocaine-induced splendor, she kind of sort of got us apart, but she deferred to a friend who we didn't know and she wouldn't give a phone number to. How do we end up getting that part?
I had a huge meltdown. A really big meltdown. There was a lot of firmly worded WhatsApp messages.
I stand by that. I love her.
Into a pillow.
I know. I was
not fun way.
I'm like, she's a great girl. She's going through a thing. She's getting a divorce, so she just buried her emotions in different types of powder.
Wellness, numbing, your choice.
Yeah. So, anyways, we ended up getting our part eventually, and then the person that we hired that had the right tools hadn't ever done it before. He worked on gasoline engines, and so I'm standing over him and I'm kind of watching his work, and I was like, "Give me the tools."
It was a real.
And after you put it together and you shake it, you shouldn't hear loose parts inside. Just as a general rule, I think for fixing anything.
Is the fan on still? There we go.
I think that's the sound of my computer.
Wow. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, so in other news, I need a new laptop. She's 8 years old.
She's vintage.
Vintage. Yes. So
okay.
That was great. We actually randomly ran into Violet's paternal grandfather, which I think we talked about in another podcast, but that was just lightning striking. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We did. So we have to check another podcast for that, but we ended up seeing Violet's paternal family. They recognized her, I guess, from the channel, and invited us to have a dinner and this very authentic Mexican type gathering, and it was really cool.
So sweet.
It was so sweet. They were the sweetest. The whole family came. It was like a tiny baby quinceañera.
Yeah, 4 aunts, a grandmother, great grandmother,
tons of cousins.
Cousins.
Yeah, it was really cute.
Really sweet.
It was really cute. So now we have a family WhatsApp. We had never met them. I didn't know them, and so.
Do you even know they existed? Did you know she had so many? What do you call the siblings of your grandparents?
Great uncles and aunts and uncles. Yeah, it was a very extended family experience, and it was really cool. I did know Esteban's father, but I didn't know anything past that, and he was the one that recognized us on the street, and then we called the whole family. Esteban ended up showing up. It was a big hoopla.
A big to-do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a little shell-shocked. I didn't really film a whole lot of it, because I was just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I think we were also burnt out of the area a little bit. We were ready to roll.
Yeah, exactly. But we did end up getting on the dock and joining a group called Ocean Posse.
Oh my gosh.
Which I highly recommend. If you guys are sailors or you're getting out there, I recommend joining the Ocean Posse. It's a bunch of sailors of a certain age that get together and share information. But we met some really cool people that have become really good friends. And,
yes.
We got kind of big sistered. And that's really gotten us through a lot of the hard times. So,
yeah.
Big shout out to Sally, who we met through Ocean Posse.
Absolutely. I feel it's been fun. We've recognized people.
Yeah, we got our little
through
pack.
bays.
Yeah.
It's been really fun, and just nice to know that there's somebody keeping an eye on you. You should totally look. Everybody should look into Ocean Posse. They are around the world. You get discounts. And as everybody pointed out to us before we joined, that you will immediately make your money back.
Yes, that's true. So we are not sponsored by Ocean Posse at all, but we'll put a link in the description below.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's up next?
Okay. Oaxaca coastline. I feel like I really wanted...
You just pumped up this place so much. You hyped it hard, and we were thinking women in authentic clothing and handmade goods, and... We got a shark shirt.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily think that was going to be on the coastline, but I did think that there was going to be more of the Oaxacan culture bleeding into the little surf towns.
The cheese, at least.
Yeah.
The food was on the coast was horrific. I haven't had worse food in Mexico. Sorry, guys, but it was pretty bad. Once we got there, we were wanted to give it a chance, and then we're let's try the next anchorage. Let's try the next anchorage, and we just never really got it.
No, we did not. And also, not to mention, the Oaxacan coastline is... So, Huatulco there's 9 bays. Mm-hmm. We did 4 of them. We didn't hit the main port.
So, San Agustin, which was the last one. was actually beautiful.
Amazing. That one was.
Technically, you're not supposed to stay the night there, but we totally did.
A couple nights.
Uh-huh.
Most of those anchorages are really rolly. The most rolly of the rollies. I mean...
We weren't sleeping a lot.
Well,
when the crew morale was down.
Mazunte? The fire over there. Mazunte was so... I mean, it almost felt unsafe.
So I slept with, like, my head against one set of cabinets and then my feet against the other and, like, holding onto Violet's ankle so she wouldn't fly off the bed. It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was a...
Really makes you appreciate lee cloths.
That and, like, good stowage.
Yeah.
Really got our, as you say, poop in a group.
Yeah, and you know what's... The other thing is, too, is that we sailed through the region in the most ideal time for cruising, and it was still extremely hot. And so, for those of you that have wives that like the finer things, and you want to take sailing, I recommend finding a way to have at least one cabin in your boat air conditioned, because the princess in our pack, which is Violet, really struggled with her chubby little self and the heat. So yeah, that's definitely something I'm looking into in the future.
Yeah, so Oaxaca, I'm going to give you another chance, but it's not going to be the coastline. I think what I was thinking of is culture-wise, it's all up in the mountains. It's Oaxaca City, it's San Jose del Pacifico. There's a huge culture. Let's talk about the next place, the last place that we are in Mexico.
Oh.
It's got a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last place that the furthest south I've ever been in Mexico is Chiapas. And the last time I sailed the Bay of Tapachula, I was about 8 months pregnant. And Esteban and I got into an argument in San Agustin, and he wanted to get off the boat. And I knew I couldn't do the Bay of Tapachula by myself. He was the only other person on the boat. And so I was just like, you know what? Bleepity bleep bleep bleep, send it. I barely scanned over the wind. When I say the wind, like I didn't look at the weather. I only looked at what the wind forecast was, which is, you can pretty much double or triple whatever you see on the app and then ask yourself if you're okay with that. I did not check the waves, the swell, the current, nothing. We got into a fight at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We pulled anchor and we were heading across the bay by 3 o'clock. Now, people die on this bay. This is like where you can see 15-foot seas with a 7-foot fetch. And that's like not something that your boat's really going to do very well in. And so we ended up seeing some of that. We got 50 knots of wind with an opposing current and swell. So we ended up in this like sailing vortex of not making any speed over ground. The autopilot wasn't working. And it was kind of my worst nightmare. And I was so tired, because this happened on day 2, as we went through the center of the bay with no planning, that I just put my head on the table and like had one eye on the autopilot flashing red, and I'm like, you know what, this could be it. And after about 40 hours of that, the storm cleared and we got close to Chiapas. There was logs everywhere in the water, and we made it. And it was really scary for me, and I felt really stupid, because when we got into that weather, that was totally preventable, but I made a poor choice in deciding to go without making a plan. And so I had a lot of feelings around taking this trip again and doing it right, and also not putting other people in danger. I felt really responsible. I mean, at that point, I was so angry at Esteban, and I kind of blamed him for, demanding to get off the boat when I was so pregnant. But, anyway, it just had like a lot of emotions. And also I was leaving Mexico, and, leaving Mexico is such a big deal for me because, I kind of started like a little life there, and I had all these plans and expectations, and, now those were literally and figuratively behind me.
Yeah, but alas, it was a little different.
Yes, so this last trip through the Tapachula Bay was unremarkable. It was just flat as a lake. We went like no more than a mile offshore, oftentimes a quarter mile or half mile offshore, and we avoided all of the wind and the current and the wave, and we just had a really peaceful crossing. And it was really great, and it built my confidence that I could make good decisions and that I was safe as a captain. So that was a big deal for me.
Yeah, as it should be.
Yeah.
And then getting into Marina Chiapas is a story channel.
Oh my gosh. So, I don't know, for all of my Floridians out there, if you've ever like taken your skiff through a mangrove and it's just like this labyrinth of like mangroves and foliage and like things that just look alike, I felt the same way coming into Chiapas. And again, there's like another dog leg of a turn, and I made the wrong turn. I saw this like two wrong turns. Two?
No, there's two dog legs. It's like there's a lot of hard.
So I see this like big ship over what looks like it's down this one pathway. And so I'm like, okay, big ship equals deep water. So I turn towards the big ship. And out of the corner of my eye, I see these guys jumping up and down in their little panga, and they're like, no, 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 peligroso, peligroso. Bless their hearts. They could have just stood there and just watched me, which a lot of people in America would have done, but Mexicans are super helpful.
Because like, they would have had to help us
right?
get out.
Like, they're like one of the most helpful cultures I think there are. And so, anyway, they're like, no, no, no. And so, as I see them, I just crank the wheel as fast as I can, and I feel the boat skipping off the bottom. It's all mud because we're in an estuary, and I just throttle it. And they're pointing, like this way, this way, this way. And I turn the boat, and, she's 31 tons and 62 feet and does not turn on a dime. So as we're skipping across the bottom, my heart's like, jump, 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 jump. And it was not my favorite moment. But then we got into the little area where you have the dock, and it was much easier. That day it was calm. But we did go out a couple times, and when the wind kicked up, the boat was a real box kite. Mm-hmm. And so we ended up having Jordan's boyfriend Shane take the dinghy and like bump and guide the bow and the stern around so we could go get fuel and do a couple other things. But there's these moments on the boat where I'm like, just want to shout like, I'm coming in hot. I'm going a half a knot, but still like the inertia is.
It was me saying, slow down.
I've been in neutral for 5 minutes.
Slow down. Every time.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a prop walk too. So for those of you that are like, well, just put it in reverse. Like you put it in reverse, then you swing the ass one way, and then the bow's going the other way. Once it starts going, if that bow catches any wind, you're not correcting it. It's just going. Now that's the direction that you're going. You have to figure out like the new plan.